Hi guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to The Wandering Reader. Today I'm going to be doing my June wrap up. In June I read a total of 7 books, which is my lowest count for the year, but it's still a really good number of books to read in a month. So I did my wrap up a little bit differently this month in terms of the fact that I have filmed vlog footage during the month. Every time I finished a book I spoke about it on camera, and I'm going to edit those clips together. And then I was going to do an intro and an outro. So this is the intro. So yeah, I quite liked the style of wrap up, and I was planning on continuing with it. But I'd love to have your feedback below, like after you've watched it. What did you think of it? Like, did you like the style, that sort of thing? Yeah, because obviously there are pros and cons. It's like my immediate thoughts and feelings, but at the same time, sometimes you get like, once you've thought about a book for a few days, I suppose a few things might come to you. I don't really know. So yeah, I'd love to have your feedback below. So I'm gonna insert all of the vlog footage here. Hi guys, so it is Saturday the 2nd of June and I have finished my first book of the month. So I read The Crown by Kira Cass, and this is the last book in the selection series. It's book number 5. And it's part of the separate duology, so there's The Heir and then The Crown, which follows the daughter of the couple from the first 3 books. I didn't really like The Heir that much. I thought Eadlyn, who's the main character, she was quite whiny and immature, and I didn't really feel like it added anything to the story. I liked this one more. I really felt like she developed as a character, and she made a lot of really intelligent decisions, and yeah, I just really liked her character growth. And obviously we got a happily ever after in here because, you know, that's just what these books do. So I think I gave The Heir 3 stars. I think this one I'm probably going to give 3.5 or 3.75 maybe. Something kind of along those lines. But I've really enjoyed this series. It's light and fluffy and cute, and just sometimes it's just exactly what you need. So I will, that was wonky, wasn't it? I would definitely recommend reading these if you like a bit of YA contemporary with kind of like a royal family twist to it. Yeah, really enjoyable. So on to my next book. Hi guys, so it is Friday the 15th of June and I have just finished reading The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I was doing a buddy read of this with Lauren from Lauren and the Books and Emma from, I can't remember her channel name. I'll link it down below anyway. Yeah, so really excited to read this because of course I read The Nightingale last year and absolutely loved it, and I think I put that on my favourites list for the year. So really excited to pick this up. This is a book about a family who decide to move to Alaska. So it's set in the 1970s and it is told from Lenny's point of view, and at the beginning of the book Lenny is around the age of 13, I want to say, and her family have done a lot of moving around. Her dad is a Vietnam War veteran, and one day they decide to go to Alaska because one of the men that he fought with in Vietnam has left him a piece of land. So they decide to go out there and start a new life, and you know, it appeals to them that they're going to live off of the land and that sort of idea. Lenny's dad was a prisoner of war from the Vietnam War, and so he has a lot of issues to do with PTSD and that sort of thing. But his relationship with Lenny's mum Cora is also quite toxic. And it's quite interesting that it's told from Lenny's point of view because obviously we get her naivety and her innocence, but at the same time she's quite old before her time because she's seen things and experienced things that a normal sort of 13-year-old wouldn't. and it's about their life in Alaska and what happens. I loved the descriptions of Alaska in here. I read the author's note at the end, and she talked about the fact that she's lived in Alaska and her family owned some sort of a holiday lodge up there or something like that, and so obviously she has a lot of experience with what the place is like and that sort of thing. So her descriptions were really, really beautiful, and I really liked the commentary on here on women and being really strong and that sort of thing, and there were some really good themes and issues that were tackled in here. Unfortunately for me, the last, I would say, well, I wouldn't say the last 100 pages, I would say what happened in the climax of the book kind of made it fall a little bit short for me. I just found it a little bit, not unbelievable, but it kind of lost its power for me. And I just didn't feel that it was completely necessary, and it could have been taken in a different direction that would have been better. So yeah, I ended up giving this 4 stars. I still really, really enjoyed it. I still think I still would recommend it to everybody. I think it's a great read. I love Kristen Hanna's writing still. You know, would still pick up lots and lots of her books, and I will do. But it wasn't as good as The Nightingale for me. But still really good. So 4 stars is an excellent rating. So yeah, that's that one. Hi guys, so it is Monday the 18th of June. It's my sister's birthday today, so happy birthday to Lois. I finished another book today, so I finished the audiobook to The Two Towers by Tolkien. This is part of my reread of the series, and to get around to reading the last book. So finished the second book, have much the same opinion of the second book as I had of the first. I'm not enjoying them as much as I do watching the films now. I think they're a little bit outdated for me. I don't really enjoy a lot of adult fantasy anyway, but obviously these are classics and I do love the movies. I think I enjoyed this one a tad more than I did the first, just because it obviously got going in terms of like some more of the action and things like that. But yeah, this was the sort of audiobook where I found my mind wandering so much whilst listening to it, and I could go for whole chunks of like 15 minutes and not really know what had happened. The only way I knew was kind of by then tuning in for like a couple of minutes and realising where we were, because I know the films and I know what kind of happens from there. I think that's the only thing that's really keeping me going at the moment. So yeah, I gave this one 3 stars. I think I gave both The Hobbit and the first book 3 stars as well. They're not rocking my world, but you know, I'm glad I'm listening to them. So yeah, I'm gonna have a bit of a break from the series again now, and I'm going to listen to a couple of other audiobooks in between, and then maybe after the summer go back and read the final book via audiobook. I think it has been the best way to read them via audiobook for me. I think if I'd have read them physically, I'd have got lost, and yeah, there would have been huge chunks of time in between. Hi guys, so it is Wednesday the 20th of June. I'm just home from work, and I thought I would give you an update on a book that I finished last night. I finished the Mermaid and Mrs Hancock, and this is by Imogen Hermes Gower. So this was a book, I'm going to put it down because it's like really heavy. This was a book that I was reading for the Women's Prize shortlist. I just didn't get an opportunity to finish before the winner was announced, and I've been reading it for quite a few weeks. Yeah, I haven't been reading it for a few weeks because it's been hard to read or because I've been bored or anything like that. I just think because I've had other things on the go and other things have been holding my attention a little bit more. This is basically a historical fiction book set in the 18th century, which I find quite refreshing because a lot of historical fiction books that I've picked up in the past anyway have been to do with either World War One or World War Two, or to do with the Victorian era. So I found it really refreshing picking up a historical fiction that was set in the 18th century. Would you call, I think you would call that the Georgian period, but I'm not overly sure, but that sort of thing, the 1700s. And it focuses around this character called Mr. Hancock. And Mr. Hancock is somebody who owns ships, and so he does trading. So he sends his ships out to kind of trade, buy and sell stuff, and that's how he makes his money. And at the very beginning of the book, the captain of his ship comes to his house. He's just been back from a voyage, and he tells him that he sold his ship and brought him back a mermaid. And obviously Mr. Hancock is a bit outraged at the fact that he's sold his ship, and what am I supposed to do with this mermaid and that sort of thing. And then the captain brings him this mermaid, and it's dead. But Mr. Hancock decides to kind of do something with it to make money out of it, basically. And we're also following a character called Angelica Neal, and she is basically a high-class prostitute. She's just recently been widowed, so lost her husband, and is sort of trying to get herself back into high society and back into the game, as it were. And then these two characters meet in some sort of a sense, and the story goes on from there. It's got a little bit of magical realism to it, in the sense that, you know, we're talking about a mermaid, and there were some scenes towards the end where you kind of got that magical realism more, but it's a very, very small portion of the book. It's I would say 95% historical fiction. I thought it was really well written. I thought the characters were excellent in this book. You really well fleshed out. I always want to use the word caricatures, but I don't like that word, only because that has like negative connotations for me. So not caricatures, but they were really well fleshed out, and they were the sort of characters that are really going to stick in your mind for a long time. So I think she did really well with creating and developing her characters, and I did like the storyline. I gave it 4 stars in the end, so it's quite high up on my list of favourites in terms of the shortlist. Yeah, and I did really enjoy it. I would definitely recommend it. So that is book number 5, I think, for June so far, and it's the 20th. So yeah, a little bit more reading to do in order to sort of hit my usual 9 books, but you know, if I get there I do, if I don't I don't. It's not the end of the world. So that's my little reading update for you guys, and I will speak to you later. Hi guys, so it is Sunday the 24th of June, and I have just finished my 6th book, which is The Satirist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. I can't say that word properly. I kind of picked this up on a bit of a whim, just because I fancied reading one of my sort of like newer releases, and I really liked this. This basically tells the story of Lau, and he is a Jewish Slovakian, and he's taken from his family, or no, he volunteers to be taken away by the Germans so that he can sort of protect the rest of his family, and he's sent to Auschwitz, and he speaks a number of different languages, which marks him out from everybody else. And so he gets this job as the person who tattoos the new prisoners that are coming into the camp. And then in one of the queues he meets Gita, and kind of the two of them fall in love while they're at this camp, and it's just about their experiences and things like that, and it is based on a true story. So Heather Morris interviews Lau at his home in Melbourne, Australia, just shortly after his wife died, and yeah, you just get to know all about what happened and things like that. I thought it was really good. It's been a while since I've read, would you class this as historical fiction? I think, yeah, you would. It's been a while since I've read historical fiction. I've sort of been craving historical fiction, so I got what I wanted in terms of that. It was yeah, really hard to read at times, just the brutality of what happened, but then again at some points I feel like, is this just me, but I kind of feel like I've become a bit desensitized to what was going on, just because I think we're taught what has gone on in school and then you read about it and stuff like that, and I don't want to be desensitized to it. But yeah, I kind of was, and I was kind of questioning at the end what to give this as a star rating, so in the end I've given it 4.5. The reason I didn't give it 5 was because I just didn't feel emotional enough reading this story, and I think that had something to do with the writing style. Because it was based on reality, I think she was trying to be as true as possible to what actually happened, but there could have been some sort of, yeah, I think the writing style wasn't quite as I wanted it to be, so I wasn't as emotionally invested as I could have been. So, but yeah, really would recommend this. Just, yeah, to read a little bit more about exactly what went on and what people had to go through, and to educate yourself in that sort of sense, and to read about Lau and Gita's story. It was, yeah, a really good read. Hi guys, so it is Thursday the 28th of June and I just finished my next book, which is After You by Jojo Moyes. This is the second book in the Me Before You trilogy, and the third book came out this year. I think when she originally wrote Me Before You, she wasn't planning it to be more than one book, but there was a little note in the acknowledgements in this one about the hundreds of messages that she'd got on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram about, you know, people wanted to know what was happening with Louisa Clark's life, so she decided to put this one together. And then I can see how, knowing how this one ends, how she would have made the decision to write the third one. So I can't really say much about the plot of this book because obviously it would be a massive spoiler, and I'm pretty sure you know what Me Before You is about. You know, you've got Louisa Clark and she's finding it difficult to find a job, and she finds a job as a sort of semi-carer for a man called Will Traynor, and he's paraplegic after having, I think, a motorcycle accident, and it's about that particular job and the relationship and friendship that develops between Louisa and Will, and sort of how that all plays out. And I really did enjoy Me Before You. I remember picking it up on the recommendation of a colleague at work. She kind of talked about it as being one of her favourite books, and I'd never heard of it before that point. This was a good few years ago now, and yeah, so I decided to pick it up. Really enjoyed it. It wasn't until I came onto BookTube or started watching BookTube that I heard some negative opinions about it, but I always just really enjoyed it. So like I said, this is the second book in the trilogy, and we pick up on Louisa's life again. I've heard some mixed things about this book, but I did quite enjoy it. It was really readable. I found myself enjoying what was going on and the reading experience. I didn't think Louisa went through a lot of character development. I think she spent a lot of time putting other people before herself, which, you know, is really selfless, but at the same time you kind of have to find a balance between the two. But I did really enjoy it, and like I said, I can see why Jojo Moyes wrote the third book, so yeah, I'm really interested in picking that up. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I gave this one 3.5 stars. Like I said, really readable, really enjoyable. Yeah, I liked it. So there you go guys, they were all of the books that I read in June. Again, please leave me a comment below. Did you enjoy this new style of wrap up? And as always, have you read any of these books? What did you think of them? And what was the best book that you read in June? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.